بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب يسر ولا تؤسر وتمم بالخير. Today we are going to start lesson number 10 and we will learn about two new and very interesting ideas. As we know that al-jumlatu, sentence in Arabic language, has two parts, as we say al-jumlatul fi'liyatu and al-jumlatul ismiyatu, a verbal sentence and nominal sentence. Al-jumlatul ismiyatu, as we know that the nominal sentence, the beginning of the nominal sentence is one of the following. So we have already learned that a nominal sentence can start with a noun, as we can see here, Allahu ghafurun. So Ismul Jalala will be Mubtada and Ghafurun will be Khabar, or pronoun. And pronoun includes everything like Asma'ul Ishara, Asma'ul Mawsula, Al Asma'ul Shakhsiya. So the personal pronouns and the demonstrative pronouns and relative pronouns. So for example, we have here Ana Mujtahidun. So Ana is a personal pronoun, so it will be Mubtada, and Mujtahidun will be Khabar. And similarly, demonstrative pronouns like Asma'ul Ishara. For example, هذه مبتدا and madrasatun khabar. So this information we already know. Similarly, a particle resembling the verb. Al-huruf al-mushabbahatu bil-fa'li. So the verbs that resemble, or the particles that resemble the verb. And why do we say that they resemble the verb? Because they do the function of a verb. For example, they give nasb to its noun. And we have previously learned that they are called inna wa akhawatuha. So today we know that they are also called al-huruf al-mushabbahatu bil-fi'li. So basically they have two names. This is the real name, the particles that resemble a verb, and also they are called inna wa akhawatuha. And we know that inna also always has an ism and also it has a khabar. So when we say inna Allaha ghafurur rahim, we will say that Ismul Jalala is Ismu Inna and Ghafurun Rahimun is Khabaru Inna. In the broader perspective, we can say that, in fact, Inna Allah is Muqtada and Ghafurun Rahimun is Khabar. Ghafur is Mawsuf and Rahim is Sifa. So this is Muqtada and this is Khabar. So these two ideas we have discussed and learned about them in the previous lessons. Today we have a new concept which is called al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu, the interpreted masdar. As we can see here, antasumu khairul lakum. So we will say that antasumu is mubtada and khairul lakum is khabar. So this is called al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu, and of course we will discuss about it in detail now. First of all, we need to know what is masdar. Al-masdaru, it's basically from the verb sadara yasturu, and it's on the pattern of maf'alun, which is like dharf, which is used for dharf makan or like zarf dhaman. As we know that basically sadara yasturu is to proceed. And then when we say masdar, it is used in the concept of source, like the source of the word, like where the word has come from. So some grammarians, they say that the verb comes from masdar, and some of them, they say masdar comes from the verb. Anyways, we will say that it comes from the verb. So when we say dakhala, it includes action, it includes actor, the file, yani dhamir is mustatir, and taqdiruhu huwa, and then it also includes time, as we know that this is past tense. So fi'l includes three things. It includes the action, it includes the doer, and it includes the time. But masdar, it only includes the action. It does not include the actor, and it does not include the time. So that's why it is called dukhul. It is masdar. This is one of the patterns, and it has different patterns for افعال الثلاثي, the verbs that have three root letters. It has different masdar, as we know that. And since it's a noun, so that's why it declines like a noun, and it gets the tanween, it gets al, It's a noun basically. So that's why it behaves like a noun. And it is also called the original. It has different names, the infinitive or gerund. Infinitive, as we know in English, it means like to plus verb form number one, like to go, to eat, to sleep. And gerund, when we use ing with the verb like swimming, like eating, like going. So that is called gerund. So it basically gives two meanings, or it is translated in two ways. Number one, it is translated to plus verb one, or it is translated as ing. And we know that the verbs that have three root letters, they can have one masdar, they can have two, or they can have more than two. And basically this idea we discussed in detail in book number 2. Now we come to al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu, the interpreted original or masdar. Awwala yu'awwilu ta'wilan, to interpret something. And ismul fa'il will be mu'awwil, and ismul maf'ul will be mu'awwal, as we can see here. And this is a verb from number 2, sabbaha yusabbihu tasbihan. Similarly, we have awwala yu'awwilu ta'wilan. So this is called interpreted masdar. What does that mean? It means it is originally not a masdar, but after the combination of certain combination of a harf and the verb, then it becomes a masdar. First, we look like how I want to go. So you say uridu an adhaba. Now, I want is fail plus file, and an adhaba is al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu. So we will say that it is in the place of mansub, it's nasb. But we will not say it's mansub, we will say it's mansub in the place of, it is mahallan mansub, because it is like a combination of a harf and a verb. And you know that an is basically harf masdariya, and the verb that comes after that, if it is a singular verb, then it takes fatha. As we can see here, al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu is a compound structure containing an followed by fi'l mudari mansub. So an adhaba, as we can see that an is basically harfu nasbin wa masdariyun, and adhaba is basically fi'lun mudariyun and mansubun bil fatha. And similarly, we can see here that al-masdaru can be used instead of al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu. That is the best way to figure out the meaning of al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu, the interpreted masdar. If we try to replace this interpreted masdar with the real masdar, and the real masdar is also called al-masdar as-sarih, yani it is like from daraba, yadribu, darban, nasara yansuru, nasran, fataha yaftahu, fathan. So nasran wa darban wa fathan, that is called the real masdar. That is called al-masdar as-sarih. And now what we will do, we will try to replace an adhaba with al-dhahaba. So now you can see here that uridu is fail plus file, and al-dhahaba is maf'ul bihi. So dhahaba yadhabu, and the masdar of dhahaba yadhabu is al-dhahab. So now here we will say that this is fail plus file, and this is maf'ul bihi. Why it is maf'ul bihi? Because it is a noun. But when you say uridu an adhaba, then we will say that it is in the place, it's mahallan mansub, because it is not the original masdar. It is called al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu, the interpreted original. Is this clear so far? Any questions or any ambiguity that that's not clear so far? Because when I started learning Arabic and when I completed the whole lesson, still I was not clear about what's the meaning of mu'awwal and what is masdar mu'awwal. So that's why I thought that we need to make it clear first, because if we don't know the word or the meaning, then it will be difficult to understand the concept. So I hope it's clear now.
Yes,
Alhamdulillah. So it's basically a noun. So we need to know that it is a noun, even though it's a combination of a harf and it's a combination of a fi'l mudari. So it's basically an wa fi'lun mudariun mansubun. And we know that after an, we have learned that the verb is always mansub after an.
Mansub.
It's always mansub. Excellent. Now we will see some examples to make it further like easier for us, inshallah. La yumkinuni. So yumkin, as we know, it's a verb, and noon is extra noon al-wiqaya, and ni is attached pronoun. And you know the rule that when we use attached pronoun with a verb, it is always maf'ul bihi. It is always maf'ul bihi. So yumkin, verb, ni, maf'ul bihi, and an akhruja is basically fa'il. It's basically in the place of the fa'il. لا يمكنني أن أخرج. So أن أخرج is المصدر المؤول في محل رفع. It is فاعل. So it's basically في محل رفع فاعل. And as we discussed earlier, that if you want to know the exact meaning or like how it takes place, we will try to put the original masdar. So when we replace original masdar with the masdar al-mu'awwal, then the meaning will be clear. So kharaja yakhruju, and you know that the masdar is khuruj. Yeah. So you say la yumkinuni al-khuruju. So now here we will say that this is fa'ilun marfu'un. Why it is fa'ilun marfu'un? Because it's a noun, the original noun. It's the original masdar. So that's why we say that this is fa'ilun marfu'un. But here, because it is interpreted, it's a basically combination of a harf and fi'l mudari. However, it becomes a noun, it gives the meaning of the noun, but we will not say that this is fa'ilun marfu'un. We will say that this is al-masdar al-mu'awwalu fi mahalli raf'in fa'ilun. Yani it is in the place of the fa'il. So similarly, it can be in the place of the fa'il, it can be in the place of the maf'ul bihi, and also it can be in the place of jar, or it can be in the place of majrur. For example, you say uridu an akhruja. So here an akhruja is basically uridu is fa'il plus fa'il. So here it is fi al-masdar al-mu'awwalu fi mahalli nasbin maf'ulun bihi. So now it is in the place of maf'ul bihi. And if you want to know how, then we will try to change it into the real masdar, uridul khuruja, as we can see here. So maf'ul bihi mansub. So it is basically maf'ul bihi and it is mansub. Then we have nakhruju qabla an yakhruja at-tullabu. We will leave before the students leave. So an yakhruja, as we can see here again here, an yakhruja is basically this is al-masdar al-mu'awwalu fi mahalli jarin mudaf ilayh. Why it is fi mahall jar? Because qabla, as we know, that it is used as mudaf, and an yakhruja is basically in the place of mudaf alayh, and we know that mudaf alayh is always majroor. And if we replace it with the real masdar, then it will be nakhruju qabla khuruj at-tullabi. Qabla khuruj at-tullabi. So now khuruj will not take al, because we know it is mudaf and at-tullab is mudaf alayh. And now we can see that it is basically mudafun ilayh, and we know that mudaf ilayh is always majroor. So now we have seen that al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu can be used in the place of the fa'il, it can be used in the place of maf'ul bihi, and it can also be used in the place of majroor. Why it can be used? Because it is masdar al-mu'awwal. However, we will not say that it is fa'il or it is fa'il, or it is marfu or mansub or majroor. We will say that this is mahallan marfu, mansub or majroor, because it takes the place of raf, nasb and jar. It can be used in the beginning of the sentence. An tadrus al-arabiyyata afdalu. So now it is used as mubtada. Now it is used as mubtada. So it can be translated as I said, to study. To study Arabic is better. So an tadrusa will be mubtada and afdalu. So what is taqdiruhu? Yani the hidden meaning, as we know, the meaning of taqdir is something that is hidden. And this expression is used in the grammar where the grammarians say taqdiruhu. Yani the other meaning is dirasatul arabiyyati afdalu. Studying Arabic is better. So when we use it as a noun, dirasatu, then it gives the meaning of ing, studying, as you can see. And when we use it with an, then it gives the meaning of to study. So it's compatible to the meaning of English. In English, we can say to study Arabic is better. And similarly, we can say studying Arabic is better. And similarly, in fact, this will be mubtada. So it will be an tadrus al-arabiyyata will be mubtada, the complete construction, and afdalu will be khabar. To study Arabic is better. And similarly, we can say dirasatul arabiyyati afdalu, studying Arabic is better. Al-Islamu, Islam is an tu'mina billahi, to believe in Allah. So here it is in the place of mubtada, and here it is in the place of khabar. Al-Islamu, an tu'mina billahi. Billahi is basically jar majroor. So al-Islamu is mubtada and an tu'mina is khabar. Al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu fi mahalli raf'in, and this is khabaran. So taqdiruhu, when we look at the original meaning, so al-Islamu will be, as we can see, mubtada, and al-imanu is khabar, billahi is jar majroor. So when we look at the meaning, it will be Islam is believing in Allah. So antu'mina is to believe, and al-imanu is believing. So in either case, we can see that it is used in the place of mubtada, and it can also be used in the place of khabar. So because it's a noun, the summary is because it's a noun, so it can be used as fa'il, it can be used as maf'ul bihi, it can be used as majroor, and similarly it can be used as mubtada, and it can be used as khabar. So I think this is the new construction, the new thing that is being introduced to us. First, we have learned that a noun and a pronoun can be mubtada, and then we have learned that inna and ismu inna can be mubtada, and now we have learned that al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu can be mubtada, and it can also be khabar as well. So the part, because basically this lesson deals with parts of the sentence, al-jumlatul ismiyatu wal-jumlatul fi'liyatu. So the part of the nominal sentence is completed, and we move on to the part of verbal sentence. What do you remember about verbal sentence? A verbal sentence always
Consists of
starts with
fa'il
a
and
verb. Yeah, it always starts with a verb. That is very, very important to know, that it always starts with a verb, and it always needs a fa'il, the doer. Minimum two things, verb and the doer. Now we will see that the verb has basically two types. Al-fi'l al-tammu, the complete verb, and needs doer fa'il only, and it needs only the doer, the fa'il. For example, daraba bilalun, dhahaba bilalun, nama bilalun, and jalasa bilalun. So it needs minimum, it needs al-fa'il. Even if it doesn't have maf'ul bihi, no problem. So that's why we say al-fi'l al-tammu, it is a complete verb. Then we have al-fi'l al-naqisu, incomplete verb. Okay, what is the difference? This one basically it needs an ism, and also it takes a khabar. So it's basically why we call it naqis, because it cannot convey the meaning by itself. For example, when we say kana, kana means was. Okay. Now when you say was or it was, now we are waiting for the person to say like what? To complete the meaning, because the meaning is not complete. So when we say kana, after that we need ismu kana, and then we need khabaru kana. So basically it needs ismun wa khabarun. It cannot convey the meaning by itself. That's why we say that this is al-fi'lu an-naqisu. And we have learned about kana wa akhawatuha. You know that kana has sisters like laysa and la, ma zala, la yazalu. We have learned about three of them. So ismu kana is always marfu, as we can see here, and khabaru kana is always mansub. Kana Allahu aliman hakima. This example we have discussed many times. So now if you see here, we can see that al-fi'lu naqisu, there are basically two types. So initially we had a confusion, but now there shouldn't be confusion. Why? Because it can be naqis with regards to the weak letters. With regard to the weak letters, that when a verb has the third root letter as waw or ya, it has waw or ya, then we will say this is fi'l naqis. But this is fi'l naqis with regards to the weak letters. But when we say al-fi'l naqisu, it is because with regards to the meanings. So this is the difference between this one and this one, because kana does not give the complete meaning, laysa does not give the complete meaning, and similarly we have افعال الشروع. افعال الشروع is basically our point number 2 that we are going to learn today. So point number 1 we have learned about al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu, and point number 2 we are going to learn about افعال الشروع. Now about kana, we should know that kana has ism and it has khabar. However, we need to know that kana ism is always like a noun, but khabar can be a noun, it can be past tense, and it can be present tense. I will repeat again. Khabar can be a noun, it can be past tense, and it can be present tense. But af'al shuru, they are a little bit different. They are also considered as the sisters of kana, but they have their own family. So this is the family of af'al naqisa. So after like reading so many books and going through many websites of the internet, like when we start learning Arabic, our immediate source is the internet, or we have some books like being downloaded, or we have them like with us, the hard copies. So what happens, I have seen that Arabic is a verb-oriented language. It's very, very rich and heavy in verb. So what happens, the verbs are being scattered here and there in different books. So the summary is basically here is, we have inna wa akhawatuha. And why do we say inna wa akhawatuha? Because inna is a kalima and kalima is a feminine. So that's why all the sisters of inna will be feminine. Then we have kana wa akhawatuha. Kana is a kalima and all the sisters of kana. And then we have the third category, which is called kada wa akhawatuha. Kada wa akhawatuha. And you know that we have learned about the verb kada in book number 2. And we have learned about it in detail. And now I have prepared a summary for you, just to make it easier for you, not to make you confused, but to give you a bigger picture, because mashallah, now you are at advanced level and you should be able to understand these things. So kada wa akhawatuha, in every book like of the sarf, you will find these, but you may not find with the name of kada wa akhawatuha. Sometimes you will find افعال المقاربة. Sometimes you will find افعال الرجاء, and sometimes you will find افعال الشرور. So basically, they are the sisters of kada. So افعال المقاربة, as we can see, they are called verbs of nearness. Nearness means that the something is about to happen. Something is about to happen. For example, from Surah Baqarah, we have this verse: يَكَادُ الْبَرْقُ يَخْطَفُ أَبْصَارَهُم. So as you can see here now, al-barqu will be ismu kada, and yakhtafu will be khabaru kada. What is so special about it? Can you figure out? Khabaru kada is always, it is always fil mudari. Khabaru kada is always fil mudari. Please remember this. It is always present tense. It will always be present tense. Ism, we know noun is a noun. So it has an ismun, a noun, and then it has the khabar, and khabar of kada will always be present tense. Similarly, we have awshaka and karaba. Basically, awshaka is used a lot in the hadith. It hasn't been used in the Quran, and this is not used a lot as well. So our scope is Quran. So we have discussed this. This verse in the Quran we have discussed earlier as well. So kada is the past tense, yakadu is the present tense, whether we use past tense or the present tense. And the only thing that we have to see that khabaru kada will always be present tense. That's number one. And the same idea goes to افعال الشروع. The same idea is افعال الشروع. These are called the verbs of initiative. That means that the noun is going to start, or the khabar of the noun is going to start. The khabar of the noun is going to start. We have tafiqa, shara'a, bada'a, ja'ala, akhada, and similarly we have qama. So these are the most common that are used in our Arabic language. Qama as well, he stood up. So the reason why I'm writing it, we will be able to understand more in the lesson. So please remember that all of them give only one meaning. And which meaning do they give? They give the meaning of bada'a. He started or he began. Bada'a. He started or he began. So we have this verse in the Quran. وَتَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا مِنْ وَرَقِ الْجَنَّةِ, referring to Adam and Hawa alayhim as-salam, referring to them, and that when their shame was exposed and they started covering themselves from the awraq of the Jannah, from the leaves of the trees, if you remember that. So وَتَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ. So tafiqa, because it is for dual, that's why the khabar is also dual. Now we can see that ismu tafiqa is basically the damir, huma. You know that every verb has an inbuilt damir. When we started learning about the verb, I told you that every verb has an inbuilt damir, the pronoun inside it, and that pronoun will basically be the fa'il, and this is fa'il. And then we have, this is ismu tafiqa, which is huma, and khabaru tafiqa is yakhsifani, which is the present tense. So افعال المقاربة, which is kada, our scope as Quran, so kada is used a lot. And similarly, tafiqa, only tafiqa has been used in the Quran. So with both of them, ism will be, noun will be always marfu, and their khabar will be always present tense, as we can see here over here. And then we have afalu raja. In afalu raja, the only one that you need to know is asa. Asa is used a lot in the Quran. Hara and ikhlalaqa, we don't need to worry about them. Asa rabbukum an yukaffir ankum sayyatikum. Now, asa has something very interesting about it. Ismu asa, as we know that noun is a noun, so it will be ismu asa is always marfu. And khabaru asa will always come with an. It will always come with an. An yukaffira, as you can see here. So this is the basic difference between af'al al-muqaraba or af'al al-shurur, that their khabar is always present tense, whereas for asa, the khabar of asa is always present tense, but it always comes with an. Now, inshallah, when you are reciting the Quran, and when you come across these verbs like yakada or yakadu or asa, you will find it, mashallah, inshallah, you will understand a lot, and you will be able to understand like why asa rabbukum an yukaffir ankum sayyatikum, asa rabbuna an yubdilana khayran minha. Similarly, there are many examples in the Quran. So every time you will see that after asa there will be a noun, and that noun can be masdar al-mu'awwal, and that can be the real noun itself as well. But whenever you talk about the khabar will be always present tense, but the khabar will always come with an yukaffira. Whereas for kada and for tafiqa, the khabar will be always present tense, but it will be always used as fi'l mudari, and it will not be used with an. It will be used as direct fi'l mudari. So is this clear now? Any questions that you would like to ask, or anything that's not clear? All right, so it seems everything is clear. So the only thing that we need to know that all of them, they have the meaning of bada. He began or he started. He began or he started. Now, inshallah, let's begin the lesson. And once we begin the lesson, now you will be able to figure out the use of masdar al-mu'awwal and also the use of al-af'al al-shurur. Ad-darsu al-ashiru, lesson number 10. Ranna al-jarasu, the bell rang. As we know, ranna yarinu is mudaf, where we have two root letters. They are the same, so they are merged with tashdid. Ranna al-jarasu, the bell rang. Wa bada'at, and started what? Al-hissatu al-khamisatu. And we know that bada'at, it is basically sakin, and when we connect it with al, then we connect it with kasra. And we know that al-hissatu is feminine, that's why we have to use the feminine verb. وَبَدَأَتِ الْحِصَّةُ الْخَامِسَةُ, and the fifth period started. The bell rang and the fifth period started. Marrat, marra, marru, marrat, passed or passed by. Ashru daqa'iqa, so because we know ashru daqa'iqa, daqa'iq is basically feminine, it's a broken plural. So that's why we have the verb which is feminine. Marrat, ashru daqa'iqa, or aktharu, more than that. So basically aktharu is atf for ashru daqa'iqa. So 10 minutes or more than 10 minutes passed by. Walam ya'ti al-mudarris, and the teacher didn't come or the teacher didn't arrive. It was basically ya'ti, and we know that the ya has been dropped because of lam. That was, the ya has been dropped, as we can see here. So lam ya'ti al-mudarrisu, so when we drop it, only ta will be left alone. Walam ya'ti al-mudarrisu, and the teacher didn't arrive. Saima at-tullabu, saima yas'amu, to be bored. At-tullabu, so saima will be fail, at-tullabu will be file. And lintidara is basically intadara yantadiru intadaran, to wait. And so when we connect it, we will say saima at-tullabu or saima at-tullabu lintidara. And the students were bored of waiting. Students were bored of waiting. Watafiqu, now we have that fail shuru. So it is tafiqa, tafiqa, tafiqu. So this is verb form number 3. So because it is plural and taqdiruhu hum, basically, as we have discussed that every verb has a hidden damir inside it. So hum tafiqu, so tafiqa will be verb, hum will be fa'il, and yataharrakuna will be the khabar. And we know that the khabar of af'al al-shuru is always fi'l mudari, it's a present tense. وَطَفِقُوا يَتَحَرَّكُونَ, and they started moving min amakinihim, from their places. Amakinu is basically on the pattern of mafailu, mamnu min as-sarf, but we know that when it is used as mudaf alayh, then it will accept kasra. So amakinihim, and they started moving from their places. وَيَعْبَثُونَ, and they started wasting their time, or they started like going here and there aimlessly. Abitha ya'bathu, abithan basically means to waste time or to do something aimlessly without having any target or without having any goal. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Did you think that we created you with no purpose and that you would not be brought back to us? It's a very powerful and thought-provoking ayah, which basically tells us that we have to go back, and we haven't been created without any purpose. There is a purpose, and purpose of creation is وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to worship him. So أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا. So basically عَبَثًا is a masdar from عَبَثَ يَعْبَثُ عَبَثًا. So and they started like moving around without any purpose. فَبَعْضُهُمْ. Okay, this kalima ba'd, also very interesting. Ba'd is basically lafdhuhu mufradun, as the word it is singular, wa ma'naha jam'un, and its meaning is plural. Like kila, kila is a singular word, but it gives the meaning of dual. Similarly, ba'd gives it is a singular word, but it gives the meaning of plural. Like in English, how do we translate it? Some, right? Some. So it is always used as mudaf. So ba'd is mudaf, فَبَعْضُ hum mudaf ilayh. So it will be mubtada, waqafa yakhtubu, started to deliver a speech. So here basically waqafa is khabar. As I told you that ba'd is used as singular noun. It gives the meaning of singular. That's why waqafa yakhtubu will be the khabar of this, and we know that when a verbal sentence is khabar, there is always a damir. So basically, huwa is the damir inside it, and that refers to ba'd, which goes back to ba'd. Yeah. Okay. One more thing we need to know about waqafa. Waqafa is basically gives the meaning of qama. Waqafa has two meanings. Number one, it means to stop. Waqafa yaqifu, and fi'l amr is qif. The other meaning of waqafa yaqifu means to stand. So here qama basically gives the meaning of stand. Okay, so when you look at the list of افعال الشروع, it will not be included in the list of افعال الشروع. There are around 10 of them, but qama is included in افعال الشروع, and that's why it is used in the meaning of qama. That's why the grammarians, they say that it is also included in the category of افعال الشروع. That's why khabar is present tense. It's al-mudari. فَبَعْضُهُمْ وَقَفَ يَخْطُبُ, and some of them started to deliver a speech. وَبَعْضُهُمْ, and some of them. So this one is also mubtada. جَعَلَ يَكْتُبُ, they started to write. جَعَلَ is also from أفعال الشروع. جَعَلَ يَكْتُبُ عَلَى السَّبُورَةِ, on the board, and some of them started writing on the board. So now, as you can see, both waqafa and ja'ala, they give the meaning of bada, yani they started, they began. So فَبَعْضُهُمْ وَقَفَ يَخْطُبُ, and some of them started to deliver a lecture or a speech. وَبَعْضُهُمْ جَعَلَ يَكْتُبُ عَلَى السَّبُورَةِ, and some of them started writing on the board. Is this clear? Anything that you would like to ask or discuss?
It's clear.
It's clear, all right. دخل المراقب, the controller or the supervisor entered. So dakhala is basically, what kind of verb is this? Al-fi'l at-ta'mu. Why it is tam? Because it doesn't need ism and khabar, it only needs the doer. دخل المراقب, the supervisor entered. فجأة, suddenly. So this is dharf, hal, suddenly. وقال, and he said, ما هذا? What is this? أمركم فوضى. Your situation is chaotic. Amrun basically means like matter or affair, and it will be mubtada, and it will be, sorry, mudaf, kum will be mudaf alayh. Fawda is used for chaos. We say qawmun fawda, a chaotic nation, a nation without the leader. So when there is a nation without the leader, that means everyone is doing whatever he wants to do. So similarly, the supervisor comes and he says, this is basically an expression in Arabic language, like a ta'bir. So amrukum fawda, it means your situation is chaotic. There is chaos in the classroom. Ka'anna. So now you know that ka'anna is from akhawatu inna. So it means like, and it always has ismu ka'anna. So ismu ka'anna will be mansub ka'anna al-fasla. Suqun. So it will be ismu ka'anna, and this will be khabaru ka'anna. The classroom is like a market, or the classroom is as if it is a market. Isma'u, listen, and it is like for the plural, all of you listen. Inna, indeed. Mudarrisakum, your teacher. Inna mudarrisakum, indeed your teacher. So it will be ismu inna, and maridun will be khabaru inna. Indeed, your teacher is sick. So this will be mubtada, and this one will be khabar. Inna mudarrisakum maridun, indeed your teacher is sick. Falam yahdur, and he didn't attend al yawma, today. And when we connect it, we will say falam yahduril yawma, and he didn't come today, or he didn't attend today. Fayumkinukum, and it is possible for you. And after that, we see that we have al, so that's why we will put dhamma on that. Fayumkinukum dhahabu, and now it is possible for you to leave or to go ilal maktabati, to the library. Aw, so we know that aw is also, it is mabni al sakun. So when we connect it, we will connect it with kasra for al. So it will be awilin sirafu. Awilin sirafu. Insarafa yansarifu. Insaraf means to go away or to move. So awilin sirafu ila al mahaji'i, or to go to the or to move to the hostels. So he gave them two choices. He said, فَيُمْكِنُكُمُ الذَّهَابُ إِلَى الْمَكْتَبَةِ, so it is possible for you to go to the library, أَوْ الْإِنْصِرَافُ إِلَى الْمَهَاجِعِ, or to go to the hostels. أَنْ تَذْهَبُوا, now what kind of expression is this? Al-masdaru al-mu'awwalu. أَنْ تَذْهَبُوا, you are going, or to go, or if you go, إِلَى الْمَكْتَبَةِ, to the library. So this one will be basically, this is jar majroor, so we know jar majroor cannot be mubtada or khabar. So an tadhabu will be in the place of mubtada, and khayrul lakum is khabar. An tadhabu ila al-maktabati, you are going to the library is good for you. And we can see here that, as we discussed earlier, that an tadhabu, we can basically change it into the real masdar. So it will be dhahabukum. So dhahabukum will be mubtada, and khayrul lakum will be khabar.
خرجنا من مبنى المعهد. We went out of the building of the institute. Mabna is used for the building, and normally the building of the government. And for the residential building, we use the word imara. Also, we need to know that when we read it as a single word, as it has alif maqsura, so we will read it as mabna. And when we connect it with the other word, then all standing fathas, they change into regular fatha. So it becomes mabna. So when we connect it, it will be mabna al-mahadi. Kharajna min mabna al-mahadi. We went out of the building of the institute. كانت الساعة الثانية عشرة ونصف. كانت, it was, and it is basically sakin. And when we connect it with al, then we put kasra. كانت الساعة. So now we can see here that الساعة is basically ismu kana. Ismu kana, كانت الساعة, and then we have الثانية عشرة, that means 12 ونصف, 12:30. So كانت الساعة الثانية عشرة ونصف, and the time was 12:30. or it was 12:30. Ra'a. Now we know that it has two meanings. Number one, we have already learned that ra'a and the past tense is ra'a and the present tense is yara. It means to see, and it has two masdar, ru'yatan wa ru'ya. Ru'yatan is used for the vision, and ru'ya is used for the dream. And here it is not used in the context of to see. Here it is used in the context to express an opinion. So second one is ra'a, yara, and ra'yun. And ra'yun is basically to give the opinion. Ra'a is the past tense, is the verb, and now we have to look for the doer al-fa'il. So normally al-fa'il has dhamma. Ba'du is used as mudaf. If you remember, we have discussed earlier in the lesson, and it is a singular word, but it gives the meaning of plural. So ba'du is mudaf, and zumala'i, my colleagues, it is also mudaf alayh. So some of my colleagues expressed their opinion to na'uda, to visit. Also, the word na'uda has two uses. Number one, as we can see here, aada ya'udu audatan, that means to return, and we have learned it in book number 2. And then also aada ya'udu iyadatan, to visit the sick. Here it means to visit the sick. An-na'uda, to visit. So na'uda is fail plus file, and mudarrisana will be maf'ul bihi. That's why it will be mansub. An-na'uda mudarrisana, to visit our teacher. Al-marida, sick. Al-marida, now it has fatha. Why it has fatha? We know that mudarrisana is mudaf alayh. And if we want to use an adjective, we have to use adjective after the construction of mudaf alayh, because we cannot break it. We cannot put adjective between mudaf alayh. And so we have to put it in the end of the construction. That's number one. Number two, if we are using it for mudaf, as we can see over here in this case, mudarris, and it is mudarrisana. So we have, if you are using it for the mudaf, then it will be according to the haraka that mudaf carries. So if mudaf carries fatha, the adjective will take fatha. If mudaf carries dhamma, then the adjective will carry dhamma. And if mudaf carries kasra, then then the sifa will also take kasra. And for example, if we say ila mudarrisina, so ila mudarrisina, if we put kasra, then it will also take kasra here as well. And if you remember the example from the Quran, narullahi al-muqadatu, so the kindled fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So naru, because it has dhamma, similarly al-muqadatu also has dhamma as well. رأى بعض زملائي أن نعود مدرسنا المريضة. Some of my colleagues expressed their opinion to visit our sick teacher. فقلت لهم, and I said to them, as we know that قال comes with the preposition of لا. فقلت لهم ليس. Now we know that ليس is also from al-af'al al-naqisa. That means it cannot communicate the meaning by itself. It always needs an ismun, and that's why we can see here that it is marfu, because we know that ismu laysa is marfu, and then it also needs a khabar, and khabaru laysa is always mansub, as we can see here. Laysa al-waqtu munasiban lil-iyadati. Here we know that iyada is used as masdar, so it will be translated as visiting. Lil-iyadati, for visiting. Laysa al-waqtu munasiban lil-iyadati. It is not suitable time for visiting. Sana'udu, we will visit. So as you can see here, sa is harf istiqbal, which is used for the nearest future. Sana'udu, we will visit. Ba'da, after, and we know that ba'da is used as a special mudaf. So that's why the noun that comes after this will be mudaf ilayh. Ba'da salatil asri. So salati is mudaf ilayh, and al-asri is mudaf ilayh. Sana'udu ba'da salatil asri insha'Allah. We will visit him after the asr prayer, if Allah wills. Qalu, they said, Ar-ra'yu ra'yuka. Again, this is an expression. Ar-ra'yu mubtada ra'yuka khabar. The opinion is your opinion. What does that mean? That your opinion is the best. When there are several people giving their own opinion, and if you agree with the opinion of one of them, you will say Ar-ra'yu ra'yuka. The opinion is your opinion. That means your opinion is the best. So here ra'yun, as we can see here it is used in the context of opinion. So that's why we can see over here that ra'a is a very important verb in Arabic language. It is used in different meanings. It can be used to mean to see something and also to perceive something as well. And similarly, it means to express the opinion as well. So here it is used in the context of the opinion. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.